Hello, you guys. Welcome to Tuesday morning. This is what's brewing behind the scenes. And I am Julie, a wedding and brand photographer based in Austin, Texas. So I've started this series, which I love to do every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, where I talk about what's going on behind the scenes and having a photography business, being an entrepreneur, a creative entrepreneur, and also being a mom at the same time. So it's all of those things wrapped up together. So yes, I am really excited to have my coffee this morning. I've only had like an itty bitty little bit of coffee this morning. So hi, Miss Megan. So I'm excited to have more coffee for sure. So, and I want this to be a conversation, guys. So if you guys have any questions for me, if you want to make any comments, whatever, just please talk to me. It's a two-way conversation. I love it. And yeah, so today we're going to be talking about two things that are really on my heart. So actually this past weekend, I took another kind of business weekend away, which was awesome and was so productive and had so many things that were on our to-do list that are now checked off. But I wanted to talk a little bit about, because I've had some friends and some fellow creative entrepreneurs that have asked me how to prepare for a weekend away like that, how to make the most of it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, and then I'm also going to talk about something else that's been weighing on my heart. It's talking about me as a mama. I'm currently weaning my little baby boy, Ash, and kind of what that looks like for me and how, as a creative entrepreneur, we can have things that are out of our control that are affecting us emotionally, mentally, and physically, and how do we counteract that, right? How do we make sure that we're still moving our business forward and still feeling productive in a time where we're not necessarily always in control? So those are the two things we're going to talk about today. So excited. If you guys have any other questions, though, feel free to throw it out there. How are you guys doing today? It is another disgusting day outside, which is, we're almost like getting used to that a little bit here in Austin. We had a ridiculously cold, I'm going to measure. I'm just doing a 1 cupper again today. We had a ridiculously, which I think we talked yesterday while I was in the midst of that cold polar vortex, whatever it was that we're not used to here in Austin. And I'm probably going to do about like 27 grams of grinds. Also too, I have to pull it over here. Let me get my water too, anyways. So I had a bride's mom, Miss Debbie, who brought me a bag of coffee beans to our bridal session with her daughter, Liz. And I was just so touched. From La Madeleine, actually one of my favorites, haven't been in so long. That tomato basil soup and Caesar salad that I literally grew up on. That was like our girl date out with my mom and my aunt and my cousins. We would always go to La Madeleine and get Caesar salads and tomato basil soup until the low-fat craze. And then I found out how much fat was in the tomato basil soup, and I was like, oh, we can't eat that. And then now that I can embrace and love fat again, all about it, tomato basil soup. So I am making this, and this one is French roast. I'm making that coffee today, which I'm super excited about. Because I love coffee, guys. So heated up my water today, and I'm just going to, wet my beans, my grinds, what do we call them? Coffee, and get it to blossom. So this past weekend, I went for another business weekend away, and this time we went to my friend's lake house off of Lake LBJ. So, which was really great. I don't even know why I didn't think about it the first time. We were kind of closer around Houston that time. But we were kind of thinking of, where could we go that's a little closer to Austin, that we can just kind of get away and have a retreat and feel like we're away from the world. So this lake house was perfect. So, if Tio Jorge or Uncle B are listening to this, thank you. We went to their beautiful lake house and yeah, to set up shop. So, kind of some of the things that we do really to kind of prepare. So, again, I go with my friend and co-worker Megan, who is amazing. Shout out, Miss Megan. I know you're on here. Who has been helping me with marketing and literally just basically like a get shit done kind of friend because she's amazing. So, and she does lots of marketing, newsletters, just really kind of helps me see the whole big picture of my messaging and making sure that I'm being intentional and staying on track. And anyways, it's kind of been life-changing. So we do this together. So it really does help to have someone go with you, although you could also go by yourself, which someone who has kids like me, or a husband, or a house, or furry children that are constantly, not constantly, but need your help and love and attention. It's nice to just get away from all those responsibilities and be able to really just concentrate on your business for a full weekend. So this is our second time of doing this, and we went to the lake house. So some of the things that we do. Number one, clear goal, clear intention for the weekend. Both times we've done it where there was a specific goal in mind. The first one, was the up factor and just kind of preparing, getting that speech and that breakout session ready. Did I heat up my water? That would be really bad if I didn't. I think I did. Really being intentional about that big goal, that overarching goal for the weekend, and really kind of bringing yourself back every time. So yeah, that's one of the things we did, having that clear goal. And then the second thing we did was really like prepped ourselves, right? So the first time, and this time actually, we prepped meals ahead of time. So I actually brought like a bolognese sauce and banza pasta for the first night. And it was already like, not the pasta wasn't cooked, but the bolognese sauce was fully cooked and frozen. And then Megan brought a chili the second time for the second night. And then I actually stopped and got tamales on the way to the to the Lake LBJ house, lake house, and it was amazing because who doesn't want tamales? I pretty much ate the tamales all weekend too. They were delicious. Shout out to anyone going to Granite Shoals or Lake LBJ. I wish I had the name of the little Latin market, the Michoacana, not really a Michoacana, like it had, they made tamales, they were like grilling carne asada when I got there, and I may or may not have had a taco, but it's a little orange building that's facing the wrong direction. Pretty much our happy place. We may or may not have stopped on Saturday and gotten the rest of the tamales that they had there so that we could bring them home to our families. So, MCT oil, of course. My number one productivity hack, which, by the way, we brought all of this stuff with us, right? I even brought my Chemex with me, but Megan also has a French press that we actually ended up using because I forgot my scale. Oh, I know. Today I'm also going to put collagen peptides in my coffee because I haven't had them yet today. And yeah, just one scoop. It makes it like a tiny bit creamier. It's good for your skin, protein. Just really starts you off on the right track. I try and have collagen at least once or twice a day. I know not everyone can have collagen. I've heard of some really interesting reactions to it, although it's kind of what you get in bone broth as well. I don't know if anyone else drinks bone broth. I do, especially when I'm getting sick. But yes, so my creamer, of course. Yeah, just gonna zip it all together. Does anyone else use collagen on their coffee? Do you use collagen in your coffee? I got this collagen too from Costco, of course. I think I said that every time, right? But I was really pumped to see a good brand, grass-fed, pasture-raised collagen, because it can be really expensive. Real expensive. So yeah, and I use it a lot. Miss Megan uses collagen in her coffee. It's delicious. She has a different kind of collagen too, but it's still good. So talking through those things for setting yourself up for success if you're going to take a weekend away for your business. So really prepping all those meals so that you're not spending a bunch of time in the kitchen. Really thinking too about like those meals being, nourishing and dense, nutrient dense meals so that you're really feeding your brain lots of good fats, just like the MCT oil, to make sure that you're really feeding your body rather than not helping it too. So, we brought like chocolate bars, but we didn't bring like a cake, to really just be feeding our brains and our bodies in a way that is helping us to be productive, right? It's important. So that's another thing that we did. Also not planning things outside of the weekend away. We actually did go to a vineyard on Saturday because I have a favorite vineyard in Burnett called Parasos. It's so good. But what we ended up doing is getting to a certain point and then taking some of our work with us to the vineyard. So it's not to say that you can't leave the house, which we didn't the first time, but making sure that you have work to go with you or that you've hit a certain goal, and then that's kind of your treat to yourself, those kinds of things. So just making sure that you're moving your weekend forward and getting a lot done. So what else? I wrote a little list over here. Let me look at it. Another thing that we did, which was just kind of fun, is that we used Fridays as a way to do something personal, kind of more about mindset and whatever is weighing on your heart about being a better person, not necessarily specifically for your business. So the first weekend on that Friday, which is, we got there around dinner time, and you are, just kind of starting to let go of everything else in the world and start to really concentrate. So that Friday, the first Friday, we did vision boarding and writing down some like big life goals and where we wanted to be. And then this past time we did the Enneagram test, which so Jenna Kutcher's podcast, which I listened to on the way there, I'm going to plug that, the Gold Digger podcast. She had one on the Enneagram and she was talking about her findings, and I was like, I want to know more. So I want to know what I am, because I knew I wasn't Jenna Kutcher's Enneagram. She was a type 3, the achiever. And I think achiever, but I knew that I just knew deep down that I was a little bit different than what she was describing. So we did the Enneagram test, and drum roll, I was a type 1, which I forget what the type 1, Megan, do you remember what the type 1 is called? It's like, I forget the name of it. There was a couple different names. There were like kind of some nicer names of saying it, and then there were some like not as nice ways of categorizing that type 1. But I kind of fought back for a minute a little bit, and I was like, oh no, I'm not a type 1. Like I'm not black and white. I'm not, I don't know. Some of it was like basically just saying black and white, and being very integrity driven, and that I can get behind, right? So anyways, as the weekend went on, the reformer, yes, we are driven by being good and having lots of integrity, and I should have looked this up. I didn't realize I was going to talk about this, but we kept just joking all weekend that I'm not black and white, and then by the end of the weekend, I was like, okay, maybe I'm a little black and white about certain things. So it just, it was really eye-opening to kind of know what the foundation of maybe your, who you are, your personality is, and what you're kind of driven by. I think that's a really interesting. And then I was a type 9, which was like kind of like my secondary one, which was more kind of the happy-go-lucky, more like fly by the seat of your pants. It's just interesting, which I totally feel that kind of juxtaposition within me sometimes about like being very black and white, but then also kind of being relaxed. It was true, guys. So I will actually link the Enneagram test in my stories or my caption today on Instagram. And just if you guys want to take this test, and I want to hear what your type is, because I think it's pretty eye-opening. So that's what we did on Friday. And it's just kind of fun exercise to get into the weekend and like do some personal work. And I found it to be really just a fun way to start the weekend off. And then, talking about that overarching goal for the weekend on Friday, and then, setting your intentions for what time you're going to start on Saturday, and then really sticking to that. So we did too, we both had good morning routines. So, really getting up, having your cup of coffee or whatever it may be, a few minutes, meditating if that's what you want to do, or some journaling, which is what I did this weekend. To just really nourish your body and your soul while you're there. And then, just start getting shit done. It was great. So I really do recommend for anybody who's thinking or feeling like they can't quite get into that rhythm that you need to be in sometimes to do big ideas for your business. If you feel like you're always kind of working in your business and not on your business, if you're constantly, just in your email or feeling like you just don't have enough time to do the big goals that you have for your business, taking a weekend away or a day away, you really kind of need 2 days. Maybe a week away. It's like #goals, right? To have a whole weekend away, that would be amazing. So that's just some of the things that we've done to really set us up for success for having a weekend away, to truly be effective and productive in that time. To keep moving yourself and your business forward. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is something a little bit more personal, but something that's really been on my heart lately, is that I've actually started, so my baby is almost 15 months old, and I've started weaning him. So I kind of did some gradual weaning where I did stop the daytime feedings, and then now doing the kind of bigger feedings. So not that I need to get into the nitty-gritty of that, but I really kind of thought about other people in their business. I had a friend recently who's a wedding photographer as well that lost someone really important to her. When you've been doing this a really long time, when you have your business for a long time, there are things that happen that are not within your control that can affect your mental state and emotional state. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Has anybody gone through something similar to this, where you just don't, it's something that's out of your control, and how do you kind of work through that, and be kind to yourself. So since weaning your baby does include a lot of hormonal shifts and emotional shifts, it can make you really blue. I don't think anyone really told me that either when I first had a baby. They always were like, oh, postpartum depression, which can happen right after you have your baby, is something that you absolutely need to be vigilant upon and make sure, and anyone, if you guys have friends or a partner or whoever that has a baby, you want to be vigilant and make sure that they're doing well after a baby's born, especially in that time period where you're not really sleeping. And so many new things are happening, right? But what nobody really told me was that also when you're weaning your baby, there's a huge hormonal shift that happens at that point too. And I didn't know what happened when someone calls you. So sorry about that. So there's a huge hormonal shift that happens at that point. I don't think anyone told me that. That is actually when I personally have struggled most with both of my babies, with some depression. All these notifications. Not necessarily depression, but just sadness. And I think knowing that can happen, and then it happening is powerful, right? Because you know that if this isn't something that's going to last forever, this is something that is temporary. It's your body trying to get back to what's normal, and just knowing first off what's happening, right? What is causing this shift in your mindset and and how you feel, and that it's not something that's going to be forever. So knowing that has been a really big deal. And then second, just really kind of giving myself some grace and some space to to maybe not be so productive. Maybe I do some more, have a day where I just do things that spark joy for me. Maybe I just go get a cup of coffee somewhere out in the world and just journal for a little bit rather than, starting off with a big project in the morning. Or maybe I go to a movie all by myself. You guys know how much I love to do that. So just doing things that kind of feed your soul and that make you happy and spark that joy in that time period can be pretty powerful. Or having, coffees with other friends that you could be open and honest with and talk about these things, I think is also really important. And then for me as well, I do a lot of herbs and different tinctures and stuff that help with different things, with anything and everything. Really, even my boys take herbal tinctures. So I immediately got a tincture that's called Baby Blues that you can take when you're, I guess I don't have to be pregnant or breastfeeding for, but this tincture I started taking even when I was weaning off of certain feeds. So basically saying that, also find some tools that can help you through those time periods as well. I'm a huge proponent of St. John's wort. I call it herbal Prozac. It can be really helpful as an herb that's not as strong as a pharmaceutical, although sometimes you may need a pharmaceutical you all need to do what you need to do. But St. John's wort has been really helpful for me to kind of kick me out of whatever may be happening at that moment, or just kind of get me in a different frame of mind. So identifying what the problem is, finding resources, herbal tinctures, whatever it may be, to help you on your journey, and then to give yourself some space and some grace and do some things that nurture your soul. So those are kind of the things that I recommend when you may be going through something tough. Because owning your own business as an entrepreneur, and for me, someone who my business is pretty much just me. I have people that help me that I hire, but as far as the day-to-day, it's just me. So it can be a lot of pressure when maybe life likes to throw you something a little bit interesting, right? So I hope you guys are all having a good day. I really hope that I helped in some way. I also wanted to talk about the fact that this is actually something that is going to... Do you see my little kitty cat? This is Ema. So one of the first weekend away, actually, one of our big goals was to start a newsletter for my business. So I have started a newsletter, which I'm so pumped about. And you can go to my website and just scroll down to the bottom of my website. There's just a join my newsletter there. Just sign up for it. It's a lot of business tips, different things that I love that are happening in my world, and to really help different photographers or wedding professionals or creative entrepreneurs to just really take their business to the next level, and some tips and things that I have learned along the way. So please join my newsletter if you want to stay up to date with what's going on. And as always, I want to hear from you guys about what you would love to learn about me, or want me to talk about, or want me to answer, any of those things. Please shoot me a DM, respond to one of my newsletters, so go to the link in my Instagram profile, there's my link to my website there, juliewilhite.com. Sign up, and I look forward to hearing from you. Hope you guys all have a beautiful Tuesday, and I will talk to you next week.